Hello guys, SR Scorpion on another video. So, it's been 3 weeks since I've had the Galaxy M51 and I had quite a few questions over the internet about this phone. And as you guys probably already know from the first impressions video, it has a massive 7000 milliamp hour battery, which is the biggest battery ever put in a consumer smartphone. And many of you asked, what about the charging? And to be honest, it's a fair question because charging such a big battery should take a lot of time. So the M51 comes with 25 watts charging and the charger comes inside the box. So you are already getting the maximum power possible to charge this phone. And in Samsung standards, 25 watts is the fastest charge you could get at this point, because they have already cancelled the 45 watt charging feature, so now 25 watts is the fastest Samsung charging possible on modern day smartphones. Now, it's not as powerful as Xiaomi's and Redmi's and Oppo's alternative. They give 65 watt chargers, they give 120 watt chargers, they give you at least 50 watt chargers these days, and they claim that it can charge your phone's battery in half an hour. And they're not far off. Usually it takes around 27 to 33 minutes to charge these phones with that kind of charging speeds, and it's a 4000 mAh cell. So for 4000 mAh, we're still talking somewhere around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time with just half an hour of charging. Now this is a massive battery, but you're not getting that 65 watt charging, you're not getting the 120 watt charging. And why? The answer to that is actually pretty simple. To achieve this kind of charging speeds, they have to take a certain compromise. One of them is splitting the battery into two. So with phones like this, let's say they have a 4000 mAh battery, they actually split it into two pieces, one 2000 and another one 2000. And when you plug in a 65 watt charger, for example, it actually splits itself in between and charges each cell at 30 watts. And that's how it achieves that speed. So in reality, it's actually charging one cell, one 2000 mAh cell in 30 minutes. But since it's charging two cells simultaneously, it becomes 4000 mAh in 30 minutes. But this also has its disadvantages. Although it is undeniably fast, you are actually cramping so much energy into a small battery, so you're giving it a lot of pressure. So what happens is it takes all that pressure and its battery health decreases. And at the same time, when you're pushing so much power into a small space, you're creating a lot of heat due to the inefficiencies. And this heat also kills the battery. So from two and a half years, probably toward the 3 years mark, you would realize that your phone's battery will be rapidly degrading. So every time you charge, you'll find that after you charge, the time you use on your phone, the screen on time is actually rapidly decreasing. So maybe when you bought a new phone, it was 8 hours of screen on time, but after all the fast charging, maybe 2 years later, you would see that your screen on time is only 5 hours. And that's because the battery is slowly degrading because of the stress you're putting in it, because of all the pressure you're putting in it. And the Galaxy M51 is nothing like that. It's not only about the capacity for this phone, it's about the endurance, it's about the longevity, it's about the battery health. So phones like this that highlight the battery capacity, they usually come with a lower charging capacity, and that's because they want to preserve the battery life for as long as possible, for maybe more than 3 years. And this phone was built to endure that. So 7000 mAh, it typically in a single cell, it lasts longer than pretty much every other smartphone. Your charge and draining cycle is less, and also you're not using too much power, you're not putting too much stress on it. And that's why it comes with a 25 watt charger. But still, many people are concerned because they're saying that it takes so much time to charge such a big cell with only 25 watts. So how long does it take to charge it? And that's what I tried to find out. I used the 25 watt charger to charge this phone, and I did a charging test without the fast charging enabled to see just how long can it take to charge the Galaxy M51 at its maximum charging speed and at its slowest charging speed. So starting off with 25 watts, the first half an hour took 36% to the battery. And this half an hour mark is very important because many phones claim to fully charge within half an hour. Phones like the OnePlus 9, phones like the Oppo Find X3, they all claim to charge within half an hour to 100%. And you get to use them for a whole day. And over here we've got 36%, and 36% translates to about 2520 milliamp hours. And what does this mean? This means you get somewhere around 4 to 5 hours of screen on time. So yes, it's not fast, it's not great, but 4 to 5 hours in half an hour charging is not bad. So it is really not the fastest charging phone there is, but the charging speed is reasonable. It reaches 50% 45 minutes in, and for 50% we're talking about 3500 milliamp hours, and that should last somewhere around the hood of 7 hours. So I guess it's not bad. So for 15 more minutes, you're getting actually a similar battery life to most phones out there. 1 hour in, we are at 65%, and 65% is around 4550 milliamp hours. Now, this calculation is not accurate. The percentage doesn't actually show how much milliamp hours there is. This is just an assumption, but 4550 milliamp hours should give you a solid 8 hours or 8.5 hours battery life. So for 1 hour charging, you're getting pretty much a full day's use, even if you're a heavy user. And let's say you're an extreme user, you do a lot of gaming, it should still last you 1 full day, even if you do extreme gaming. 1 hour 30 minutes in, we are at 89%. So over here, the charging speed actually starts to decrease, and this is because when it nears the 100%, all phones start to charge slower because they want to produce less heat. And 89% is already a lot. It's already 6230 milliamp hours approximately, and that's already more than most phones, and that's already enough to guarantee you somewhere around the neighborhood of 9 to 10, maybe 11 hours of screen on time, depending on your usage pattern. And the phone fully clocks out at 100% in 1 hour and 51 minutes. So the charging speed advertised for the Galaxy M51 was 115 minutes. They say it can charge from 0 to 100 in 115 minutes with 25 watts charging, and they lived up to that expectations. In this case, it was exactly 111 minutes. 111. Very nice number, but they lived up to the advertising, and at the same time, it doesn't take painfully long to charge it, because even if you charge it to 50%, you're already getting 1 day of battery life. So let's say, in a worst case scenario, you go to your friend's house and you forgot to bring your charger with you, and you have no choice but to use the cheap charger that your friend has. So in this case, it can take quite a long time to charge your phone up, and that's why I went through the trouble. I disabled fast charging and recharged the whole thing again to show you just how long can it take to charge the phone even at the slowest charging speeds. So the slowest charging speed available for an Android charger is somewhere around 7.75 watts. And yes, it is quite slow, because in the first half an hour, I only managed to rack up to 17% of battery life, and that's somewhere around the neighborhood of 1200 milliamp hours, and that's barely 2 hours. You're not even getting 2 hours of battery life, even though you spend half an hour to charge your battery. So 1 hour in, we are at 33%. That's still pretty decent. We are still talking somewhere around the neighborhood of 4 hours at best screen on time. 1 hour 30 minutes in, we are finally clocking at 49% at 3430. So you could say that's 3500, so that's already around 7 hours. So for 1.5 hour charging on the normal phone, you reach 50%, while in the 25 watt, it just takes 45 minutes to reach 50%. So that's like almost twice the charging speed. It's like 25 watts is charging twice as fast as the normal charging rate, and the normal charging rate is taking twice as much time to charge it simply to 50%. 1.5 an hour for 50%, that is a lot of time, and you're only getting 7 hours. So 2 hours in, we are already surpassed the 25 watt charging time, and it's still at 64%. 2 hours 30 minutes in, we are at 79%, and then 3 hours, we are at 95%. It's already been 3 hours, that's 1 hour more than the 25 watt charging mark, and we're still at 95%. It takes the phone another 9 minutes for it to reach 100%. So it literally takes 3 hours and 10 minutes to charge your phone, the Galaxy M51 specifically, to 100% at the slowest charge possible. So the fastest charge possible is 111 minutes, or you could say it's 150 minutes, so somewhere around the neighborhood of 1 hour 51 minutes or 1 hour 55 minutes, basically 2 hours. And with the slowest charging enable, it takes around 3 hours, or you could say 3 hours 9 minutes in this case. So that translates to 189 minutes. So that's almost 6 times longer than most phones advertise that they could charge it. So is it slow? Yes, it is kind of slow, but I believe that it is justified by the fact that they're focusing so much on the battery health of this phone. So I guess it's not bad. And if you're paying 2 hours to get 3 days of battery life, we're talking about 13 hours of screen on time, then sure, why not? Because 13 hours is like a lot of time, and just paying 2 hours to get that battery life is worth it, and at the cost of time, you're actually saving your battery's health so that it can last longer than a typical phone. So that's all for today. This is the charging test of the Samsung Galaxy M51, the fastest charge versus the slowest charge. And that's all from me. I'll see you on the next one. This is Asasco on this episode of TechScope, signing off for now.